Imagine an elite troop galloping at full speed across the untamed borders of the Roman Empire. At the forefront of each squadron, a fearless leader, a decurion, making split-second decisions, guiding his men through maneuvers that could mean victory or defeat. Now, think, what set these leaders apart? How did they maintain control and precision in treacherous terrain while facing enemies as unpredictable as the environment itself? You might assume they were just great riders, but the secret to the success of the Roman auxiliary cavalry went far beyond horse riding skills. The leadership of the decurions involved meticulous tactics, relentless training, and a strategy that would surprise even the most experienced commanders. What these men knew and how they used their knowledge to lead their troops in crucial battles is a story rarely told. But today, we're going to reveal exactly how they did it. Their role was essential for success on the frontiers, and what you're about to discover may completely change your perspective on warfare in antiquity. Get ready, because the upcoming revelations will take you to the heart of the most ingenious military maneuvers of the Roman Empire. The decurions' journey began long before they ever led a squadron into battle. Selected from the ranks of auxiliary troops, decurions were not only chosen for their exceptional skill in horsemanship, but also for their leadership potential. These men had to undergo rigorous training, not just in physical endurance, but in mastering the art of command. Roman military academies taught them to strategize, anticipate enemy moves, and understand the psychological aspects of leadership. It was not enough to be brave. They had to inspire bravery in others. Each decurion had to prove they could handle the pressure of making life-or-death decisions. In battle, decurions were responsible for leading a terma, a unit of 30 cavalrymen. But before they could ever take command, they needed to demonstrate superior tactical knowledge. They practiced flanking maneuvers, ambush techniques, and the ability to adapt quickly to changing battlefield conditions. These were not random soldiers, but hand-picked leaders who had earned their place through sheer will and expertise. Their training included close-quarter combat and ranged attacks, ensuring they could handle any enemy, whether infantry or other cavalry units. The importance of cohesion within the cavalry unit was drilled into decurions from the start. Roman commanders emphasized that a fragmented cavalry was as good as defeated. Decurions had to cultivate a bond of trust within their terma. This camaraderie was built through shared hardships and training, where decurions pushed their men to their limits. The result was a tightly knit group that could operate as a single entity. Decurions learned early on that the trust between leader and soldier was just as critical as the trust between rider and horse. Their responsibilities didn't stop with training and battlefield leadership. Decurions also played key roles in day-to-day military life, often acting as mediators between soldiers and higher-ranking officers. They managed logistical challenges, ensured discipline, and dealt with morale issues. Their proximity to their troops gave them unique insights into the needs and concerns of their men, making them not just military leaders but also figures of stability within the auxiliary ranks. By the time a decurion was deployed to the frontiers, he was a fully fledged leader, capable of handling both the chaos of battle and the nuances of military life. The path to becoming a decurion was not easy, but those who completed the journey were formidable leaders, equipped to handle the diverse challenges of the empire's border regions. Their ability to maintain order in the most chaotic situations was what set them apart from other officers in the Roman military hierarchy. The frontiers of the Roman Empire were unforgiving landscapes. Whether battling in the dense forests of Germania or the arid deserts of North Africa, decurions had to adapt their tactics to the terrain. Cavalry units were often at a disadvantage in these environments, where speed and mobility were compromised by thick vegetation, steep hills, or endless sand dunes. Yet, decurions were masters at turning these obstacles into opportunities. By carefully scouting the terrain and using it to their advantage, they developed tactics that allowed them to outmaneuver their enemies, even in the most difficult conditions. One of the key strategies employed by decurions was the use of feigned retreats. In open ground, cavalry could ride away at full speed, luring enemy forces into a chase, only to turn back suddenly in a well-timed counterattack. In difficult terrain, this tactic required precise coordination and timing. Decurions knew that in dense forests, for example, enemies might be tempted to follow them blindly, unaware that Roman cavalry units could circle back quickly through concealed paths. This use of deception, combined with knowledge of local terrain, made decurions lethal in ambush situations. Decurions were also adept at employing their cavalry in combination with infantry forces. While cavalry units excelled in speed, infantry provided the backbone of Roman military might. Decurions had to coordinate closely with foot soldiers, especially in challenging terrain where horses could not move as freely. This required them to be flexible, adjusting tactics on the fly to support the infantry when necessary. Cavalry charges were often used to break enemy lines or to pursue retreating forces. But in rough terrain, the timing of these maneuvers became even more critical. A mistimed charge could lead to disastrous consequences. The use of light cavalry was another critical element of decurion strategy on the frontiers. Light cavalry units, equipped with javelins or bows, were ideal for hit-and-run tactics. In forests or deserts, where heavier units would struggle, light cavalry could strike quickly and disappear before the enemy could react. Decurions often deployed these units to harass enemy forces, wearing them down over time before engaging in a full confrontation. This constant pressure kept enemy forces off balance and allowed Roman troops to maintain control over vast, hostile territories. Terrain, in many ways, was the decurion's silent adversary. It demanded constant vigilance and adaptation. A skilled decurion would never underestimate the land itself, understanding that victory often depended as much on outsmarting the environment as on outmaneuvering the enemy. Whether crossing rivers, navigating mountain passes, or surviving in deserts, decurions demonstrated time and again that they were as much strategists as they were warriors, using every tool at their disposal to maintain the empire's far-flung borders. One of the greatest challenges decurions faced was maintaining discipline among their men, especially during the chaos of battle. Auxiliary cavalry units were often composed of soldiers from diverse backgrounds, including different regions of the empire and varying levels of military experience. To create a cohesive fighting force out of such diversity required a strong hand and a clear system of command. Decurions were trained to maintain order, even under the most extreme conditions. Their ability to keep their troops coordinated during battle was a key factor in the success of Roman cavalry on the frontiers. At the heart of this coordination was the chain of command. Decurions were not isolated leaders. They were part of a larger Roman military hierarchy that emphasized communication and structure. In battle, clear signals and commands were vital. Decurions used trumpets, flags, and hand signals to direct their troops, ensuring that even in the heat of combat, their cavalry remained a well-oiled machine. This precision allowed them to execute complex maneuvers, such as encircling the enemy or executing feints and counterattacks, without losing cohesion. Discipline within the ranks was also enforced through constant training. Decurions drilled their men relentlessly, not just in combat skills, but in following orders to the letter. This level of discipline was essential for maintaining the unit's effectiveness, especially when facing unpredictable enemies like barbarian tribes who fought with less structured tactics. By ensuring that every soldier knew their role and would act without hesitation, decurions could respond to rapidly changing battlefield conditions with agility and precision. In addition to maintaining battlefield discipline, decurions had to deal with morale and internal conflicts within their units. Life on the empire's borders was harsh, with soldiers facing not only the threat of enemy attacks, but also difficult living conditions and long periods of isolation. A good decurion had to manage these factors, ensuring that his men remained focused and motivated. This often involved addressing grievances, solving disputes, and maintaining a sense of camaraderie among the troops. Decurions who failed to keep their units cohesive could quickly find their authority undermined, leading to breakdowns in discipline at critical moments. The role of the decurion as a disciplinarian extended beyond combat. They were also responsible for enforcing Roman military law, which could be harsh. Punishments for disobedience or cowardice were severe, and decurions were expected to uphold these standards without hesitation. However, they also had to balance strict discipline with fairness, knowing that excessive harshness could lead to resentment and rebellion within the ranks. Successful decurions walked a fine line, earning the respect of their men through both authority and fairness. In the heat of battle, a decurion's ability to make quick, decisive actions often determined the outcome of the fight. The very nature of cavalry warfare demanded split-second decisions. Unlike infantry units that could hold a line or engage in prolonged combat, cavalry were meant to strike fast and retreat, using their speed and mobility to gain the upper hand. Decurions at the head of their turma had to be constantly assessing the battlefield, watching for opportunities to exploit and dangers to avoid. A moment's hesitation could turn a tactical advantage into a disaster. One of the most critical decisions a decurion had to make was when and where to charge. A well-timed cavalry charge could break enemy lines, creating openings for the infantry to exploit. However, if launched too early or in the wrong conditions, it could lead to heavy losses, with horses and men tangled in enemy formations. Decurions were trained to recognize the perfect moment to strike, often waiting for signs of weakness in the enemy's formation or confusion among their ranks. Their ability to read the battlefield, combined with their intimate knowledge of their own men's capabilities, allowed them to execute these decisive maneuvers with deadly precision. Decurions also had to be prepared to change tactics on the fly. In the chaos of battle, plans could fall apart quickly. Enemy forces might not act as expected, or unforeseen obstacles could arise, such as a sudden change in terrain or weather conditions. Decurions needed to be flexible, able to abandon a planned charge or retreat and adapt to the new situation immediately. This improvisational skill was one of the reasons why Roman cavalry was so effective in both open field battles and in the unpredictable conditions of frontier warfare. The ability to coordinate with other units was another critical aspect of a decurion's role in battle. Cavalry rarely operated in isolation. They often had to work in tandem with infantry and archers, timing their movements to support or exploit the actions of these other forces. A decurion needed to have a deep understanding of Roman military tactics as a whole, not just the specifics of cavalry warfare. This broader strategic knowledge allowed them to see how their actions fit into the larger battle plan and to make decisions that contributed to the overall success of the Roman forces. Victory in cavalry warfare often came down to speed, both in terms of physical movement and decision-making. Decurions who could process information quickly, make decisive calls, and execute them flawlessly were the ones who led their men to victory. Their ability to maintain composure and control in the chaos of battle made them invaluable to the Roman military machine, particularly on the volatile frontiers where every battle could tip the balance of power.